Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Perry with Premier Guitar in Nashville, Tennessee at the Exit Inn, hanging out with the dudes in Red Fang. I'm stoked on it. Hey, how are you? This is Bryan Giles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So let's get right to it because I know we don't have a ton of time, but you were playing like a weird 5-string thing the last time we talked to you, right? Like you would have a custom kind of made?
Well,
or the custom nut at least, right?
I did commit to making it a 5-string guitar. It was initially a 6-string guitar. It's a '64 Fender Mustang. Anyway, I've been playing that guitar since I was 19 years old. Anyway, I just retired it about a year and a half ago, but not permanently. I'm not saying it'll be back. I don't know, because we were traveling for a short trip, like a weekend trip to Europe for a couple of festivals, and the airlines misplaced our baggage to the point where they just ended up sending them home. So this is David's backup guitar.
Yeah.
And
Nik
it was on loan from Nik Huber.
One of my favorite people in the world. He's great.
It's a Krautster II. It plays awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just fell in love with it, and so now I'm still playing it.
Yeah.
So,
Man,
so you can blame Delta for me changing guitars.
Nik makes some killer stuff, man. Is this something you requested? Like, is this a pickup combination that you wanted, or was it?
No, this is what was in there.
He just had it already,
Yeah.
and he loved it.
Yeah.
Are you mostly on the bridge, or are you rocking the neck sometimes?
95% of the time. I mean, I'll switch it for feedback effects, like before Prehistoric Dog, we like to have some feedback for drama. And so what I do is I put the guitar on the cab and then put it in the neck position and roll the tone off, and it gets pretty crazy sounding. It's so it's stuff like that, but really in the context of songs, not very much.
Yeah, gotcha. Man, so are you traveling with a backup, or is you guys? I noticed you're all playing Nik Huber's, right?
David and I both are.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I love the binding on that thing. It looks fast.
Yeah, it's a little fancier than I am, I think, but whatever.
I dig it, man. I dig it.
It's not too late for me to get fancy.
Yeah. And then also, the last time we spoke, you guys had switched to, like, everyone's using these Sunn solid state amps now, right?
Yes.
Man, it sounds really good. I heard your sound check. I've got to admit, I was a little skeptical, just because I think tube tone has been pounded into everybody's head.
Yeah, when I was a young man, I was instructed that solid state was garbage, and that if you wanted the true 70s sound, it had to have tubes in it. And so I played a Fender Bassman 50 for, a good 15 years or something like that. And it just wasn't loud enough, honestly, when I started playing with John. John hits his drums so hard that I was like, I can't, 50 watts ain't gonna do it. So I had to switch something. So I moved through some other things like a Trainer and some other, 100-watt amps. But we started this band, and Aaron had been collecting Sunns for a couple of years, so he had extra. Anyway, he's sweet to continue to loan these to us.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many Sunns do we have now? Probably.
David probably has 7. I think I have 5. I don't know how many you have.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I have 2 or 1. I don't know. I have at least 1. So anyway, it gets kind of confusing because there's so many.
Yeah.
And they do break down, unfortunately. So we have a lot of
backups.
And so there's, I think David still has something like 4 or 5 of them in the shop. So, just keep swapping them out.
So I'm guessing that was like in a combo of some sort, and you guys built the enclosure for it?
Aaron built these wooden boxes. Oh, this one, and then David built the orange one, out of an old school desk or something. I don't know. He'll tell you about it.
Punk as hell, man. I love that.
Well, they work, and they're light.
Killer.
It's nice,
Yeah. Right on. Do you notice any what would you say is the biggest thing you notice between going from a tube amp to a solid state amp? Is there any kind of difference? Like, is the response any different, or not really?
I really haven't had enough experience with different tube amps to notice. But I mean, what I love about these amps is that their gain just sounds amazing, and you don't have to run effects of any kind to get extra dirt. I mean, there's plenty.
I noticed you guys were all using the tube, or the distortion from the head.
Yeah, I just basically turned the gain all the way up on both and use both channels.
Let it rip.
Yeah, and it's nasty sounding.
That is too cool for school, man.
And the nice thing, I think, that since we all are using the same type of head, is it sort of gives a continuity to the sound. I mean, I think our styles of play are different, so it's not as though we all blend together, but it's more of a unified force,
Sure, yeah.
So I get a kick out of that.
Sounds great in the room. Like, sometimes you'll hear an amp and it'll sound great on its own, but not really great in the context of a whole band. But I feel like these are like Man, those things, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I'm really, really impressed. And then as far as cabs, you guys are all running orange.
Yeah.
Is that something you've always done, or is this like
We started out, I loaned Aaron my Trainer 412, and
those were like kind of
then
like Fender copies
and
from
then
the 70s,
he
right?
loaned me his 8 412 Marshall cab. It's a little tiny, light 412. Those were great because you could carry them with one hand. I mean, not that you wanted to, but you could. But then Orange approached us, and they're like, "You want to try out our cabs?" And they have a lot more. Seems like low end
Yeah, the
response.
bass response is
and
crazy.
they're clearer. I think there was some murkiness to the 8 412s, which I kind of liked because you could sort of hide behind that a little bit. So now I kind of have to play better with these, which is kind of a drag, But hey, I guess getting better, that's a good thing.
Sounding awesome is not a bad thing.
Right.
yeah.
So,
but yeah, if you're,
I just have to be more articulate because you'll hear flubs a lot more through these. But and they sound terrific. I used to not believe that, your cabinets really made a big difference, but it does. It's night and day, the sound.
For sure, yeah. And I think the last couple times we talked to you guys, you were bouncing between a couple different tunings, like a drop C and a drop D. Are you guys still doing that, or?
Yeah, we place E, standard E, drop D, and drop C.
Yeah, that's not too crazy. But on this tour, you only have one guitar, so are you, changing your set list around to accommodate, or are you tuning?
No, well, what we have done is, David got a polyphonic pedal, and then I followed suit because on trips like this, we just returned from South America. It was like 17 flights in 14 days. It was like bonkers. So, and the overage on baggage would have just murdered us. So we basically got these pedals. I can show you that.
Yeah. Well, you only have two. You're rocking the chromatic
Right.
tuner, and then
I got my tuner,
this pitchfork, yeah,
and a pitchfork, which I use during the set as an octaver, and then for the drop Cs, instead of cranking this thing all the way down, I just switch it to a major second lower.
So you just
and
you
you can hear it, but it doesn't bother me. Like I said, it's sort of
what do you hear, like the digital signal path kind
just
of thing?
a very little bit, but I think
it
I think
doesn't
it's kind of pleasant.
Yeah, totally. It does have a thing for sure.
It's
it's
a pleasant thing to my ears.
Oh, to mine too, man, and it sounded really, really
And
good.
it's a lot lighter than a guitar.
Yeah, and cartage on that is not too bad, right?
Exactly.
I mean, all right, before I let you go, Mr. Giles, I would love to hear this song. Can you just give me your bass tone?
Sure, absolutely.
Cool.
Here we go. Hold your ears. There you go.
It sounds killer. And then last question, and I'll let you go. Strings and gauges.
I use. This is also a 5-string, or I just
you're just not using the
don't
E?
put the
Okay.
5th string on theirs, and I use a 40. Currently, I'm doing 49 to 14.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, right on. What brand? Or doesn't matter to you?
Generally Dunlop. Yeah.
Cool.
And my tuning, if anyone cares, this is in drop D, but it's D, A, D, G, and then a unison G.
But it's a different gauge on the unison G, correct?
Yes.
And you notice a difference.
It warbles a
sonically?
little bit more, and I kind of
like
like
that.
it.
Yeah.
I could get custom strings, but I kind of like the fact that there's a little bit of a difference.
It's almost a perfect rhythm setup because it's really all you need. I mean, for this band, it's just rock and roll, man. It sounds
And I just
great.
like that for the unisons you can get really strong,
cool leads.
Like it really sticks out because you got the unison going.
I love that, man. Well, heck yeah, man. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Awesome.
I'm gonna grab
Nice
the rest of the
talking
guys
to
in the band. Yeah, cool. Now I'm center stage with Aaron Beam, right?
Correct.
All right, man. Cool last name.
Thanks.
Mine's Bean. It's pretty close. But,
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Dude, let's get to it, man. What is this
Sure.
bass you're playing here?
This is a 1986 GNL SB1, which is obviously the P-bass version of the GNL, and it's the pre-lawsuit because it doesn't have that little point on it.
Yeah, the little
And
knob.
yeah, it's a cool bass. I mean, it's
Sounds good as hell, and it looks awesome. That thing has been down in the ditches with it, huh?
It was basically new when I got it. My other one was also new and is even more fucked up. It was an 85. I don't bring it on tour so much anymore because it's a little heavier, and this one sounds a little bit better.
Man, that thing is nasty. I love the checking. I don't know if you guys can see it, but holy hell, that's beautiful.
That's from there was some tour we did where
Canada.
it was a winter tour, and it was so cold that I pulled the bass out and was like, what's that going on with it? Do I have ice all over my bass? No.
It's just
But yeah.
gorgeous. It just
like
looks way cooler now.
Yeah.
And you're not running, I mean, you are lean and mean, no pedals, right?
I have this pedal called a chromatic tuner.
I've heard those make you sound real good.
Yeah, it's really good.
And then, other than that, your fuzz tone is just straight coming from that
just
head.
straight into the head. And I used to run, these betas come sometimes, they're hard to find, but they have a foot switch that does, you can switch between the, since there's two channels, they're identical channels, the A and B are exactly the same.
But you can...
And so if you plug into the both input and you have the channel switcher, you can switch between the A and the B or do both at the same time.
So you're just running both?
Now I just run both because I'm lazy and I don't like to switch around very much. And it's kind of, it probably is slightly to the detriment of the tone because I'm a little bit less flexible, but I'll just like roll off the volume a little bit, roll off my tone.
Just out of curiosity, click that bad boy on, we'll hear it, but
sure.
Do they clean up like a normal amp? Like when you roll off the volume a little bit?
I mean, they can. They don't sound that great because they're a 100-watt amp.
Yeah, totally.
And this is it's 100 watt into 4 ohms, and this is going to 16, so it's like even less. And for a bass, as you know, that's not very good. But that's what the obviously dirty, and then you have to change it a lot. So it's got a drive and a level, so it's sort of like gain and preamp or something. And so you have to, if you're going to turn the drive down, you have to turn the level way back up to get it to go. So it can be kind of clean.
Yeah. Is that what you were doing with when you had the foot switch?
No, I was going from like a pretty distorted to super distorted. It was just different levels of distorted, but I didn't really, I would never play clean.
Yeah.
Bad idea. For somebody who's a bad bass player, you should always play with distortion.
Oh man, it sounds great. And is this a guitar cab that you're playing through?
Absolutely. Yeah, we all play the same cabinets.
Love it.
Basically the same heads. The only difference between the lead and the bass on the Sunn is the bass is tuned an octave lower. Everything else is the same, and it doesn't have the reverb on it. But aside from that, they're the same.
Killer.
What's that? Oh yeah. Well, these are the different ones.
What did you put these? Are these?
Oh no. Well, they are. I do have the pickups switched out, but David was just alerting me that I have some pickups on my other bass that I'm going to put into these that are made by a guy in France at a shop called SP Custom, and they're like the most perfect pickups that you've ever heard. And these are the Seymour Duncan quarter pounders, which are awesome.
Awesome. Yeah,
they're great. But the SP Customs are just like a tiny bit better. So,
in what way?
They're a little bit more clear and a little bit like they're super punchy and dirty. It's like the hottest pickups that our buddy who does all of our guitar work, he put them into the bass and he's like, these are the best pickups I've ever heard.
Rules.
They're passive or active, and I was like, no, I'm just going to go passive, and he said that they're super duper hot. So, but they're very, very clear, but also like really dirty sounding. So
love that.
Yeah,
a little more punch.
Yeah,
exactly. Totally. What gauges are you running on your strings?
Just 105 to 45.
And are you staying in the same tuning all night? Because I noticed no pedals.
No, I'll tune down to I'll
gotcha.
tune down to drop C. It's just a little faster for the bass. So we usually do the drop Cs at the end as like an encore, so we can
So that rules.
Yeah.
All right, man. I guess I'll let you go because it's not a ton of stuff. But I have one more
hilarious.
question before we leave because I actually got this job at Premier Guitar because I'm a music video director.
Okay.
Your videos are what really got me into your band. You know, like that was the thing that was like, holy shit, these guys get it. This is the funniest, most awesome thing in the world. Do you guys? How much input do you guys have on that? Do you work with directors that are like?
Well, we mostly like as far as the live action stuff. Almost all of those are the same director. It's one director, Whitey McConaughey.
Yeah.
And it's all he writes them, edits them, directs them. He does basically everything. And we'll kind of like try to make suggestions, and he's just like, no, I know what I'm doing.
That's a man after my own heart, man.
Yeah.
When I saw the zombies just explode out of the pub and the blood everywhere, I was like, this guy rules.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Well, dang. All right, cool. We'll get the rest of the guys. Talk to you soon, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Last but not least, we're on the other side of the stage now, talking to David Sullivan. What is happening, man?
Hey.
Dude, great. This is all right, and you're the guy in the band with pedals, so.
Yeah, a few more than the other guys, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, let's start with this Huber.
Yeah.
Man, I love Nik. One pickup,
yeah.
Volume tone, rock and roll.
This is my second Nik Huber. I have a black one also, and the black one, like on Bryan's, usually has a P90 in there, but it was their loaner, and so they took the P90 out, and it just had the pick guard, and there's a little hole where the switch used to be, but I liked it like that.
Yeah.
So I asked them to make this one for me, and I was like, just give me the one pickup. I don't need the neck pickup.
Dude,
they
everything about it looks rad. Like, check out. Can we show them the neck?
Yeah,
the back
yeah.
of that neck is all flamed and so
Yeah,
rad.
they're just really nice, and I love this detail right here.
Oh,
just
nice.
really
Give
nice,
you
yeah,
heel
really
access.
comfortable. Yeah, they're just great. I was a Tele thin line player. I mean, I still love Tele thin lines. I have a bunch of them, and that's still one of my favorite guitars. But when I played one of these, I was just like, wow. So yeah, I really like it.
Man, Nik is also the coolest guy in the
He's
world.
super nice.
He's the dude.
Yeah.
Do you know what pickup is in there?
This is a Harry Housel, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Harry Housel, I think it's called a Vintage B, which I think just means bridge.
Or little bridge pickup.
Yeah, I think it's a Vintage B. I
it
think
voiced
when I
like-
originally got this, it was called a Hot B, and I thought it was a little too hot.
Gotcha.
So I went back to the Vintage B. I'm pretty sure that's a Vintage B, Harry Housel. I think that's what Nik puts in most of his guitars.
Does it feel more like kind of like PAF-y to you?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, maybe it's a little hotter. I don't know.
Cool. Well, it
yeah.
sounds good as hell, man. I really
like
dig
them
it.
a
And
lot,
you're,
yeah.
of course, also playing the Sunn and an orange combo.
Yeah,
here,
yeah. I'm playing a lead, which is a tiny bit different, but yeah, beta lead. I'll have to share this picture with you. I have quite a collection of these. Like, I think I have like 8 of them.
Like Rigs of Doom status.
Yeah, just because they're you can't find them anymore. They're made like in the 80s, early 80s, and then once Fender bought Sunn, they only made a couple of the Sunns, and they didn't make these anymore. Although there is a guy making these now.
Oh, somebody bought the brand?
Well, no, he's just making like clones or whatever.
Wow.
It's called Hilbish. And I think Buzz from the Melvins is using them now.
Oh, killer.
And it's basically this same amp. It's slightly different configuration. He's got some of the outputs and stuff that are on the back of this. He's got them on the front. So it's like a little taller thing. But Hilbish, yeah, he's making like clones of the betas, which is rad.
Dude, what a market to be in, because these are getting pretty hard to find.
Yeah. I love them.
Did you make this enclosure?
Yeah, this wood was the dumpster out behind the apartments where I live at. Somebody was throwing away like a little kid's desk.
Rules.
And I noticed the color was orange. It's like almost the orange. So I was like, I'm going to use that wood and just make a
for
little
it.
box. You know, it's not nothing fancy, just
Nope.
some screws and whatever. But yeah,
Hey,
they're great.
man, does the trick.
When we fly, that's my carry-on. I put it in the
Oh.
overhead because I don't
Brilliant.
really. We need to get, like you can see, I've lost a couple of knobs here. I need to get like a nice road case for it, but this is just kind of always by my side. In the airport, I have a backpack and this thing in my hand.
That makes it pretty easy.
Yeah, they're great.
So, are you guys all running the same speakers in these oranges?
Yeah, I believe they're the vintage 30s. Actually, when the orange, these are loaners for this particular tour, but they did give us some cabs that we have that we use, and these things are meant to be run at 4 ohms. That's just what it is, but they're solid state, so it doesn't really matter. But we asked Orange, because for some reason I like it run into an 8 ohm. It's just a little less, it's just a little softer or mushier or something. But these are actually 16 ohm, because that's what most of them are.
Sure, I was gonna say,
But Orange made us some custom 8 ohm versions. I guess you just wire it differently.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it doesn't really matter with the solid state.
Yeah,
You can run
it's
it
not
into
like you're gonna
whatever.
blow it. Yeah. Cool.
But I'm pretty sure they're vintage 30s. It's whatever they usually put in these guys. And these are great. And yeah, they have like nice bass and a little mid thing that happens on the orange cabinets.
Those
that I
orange
like.
cabs are one of my favorite cabs. The only thing I hate about them
great.
is carrying those.
They're heavy, but they're
Bastards are
solid.
heavy, man.
They're really
Yeah.
solid. So yeah.
Well, all right, that takes us to pedals, because you're only traveling with this one Huber, right?
Yes.
Cool,
Normally
cool.
I'll have 2 Hubers, one in drop C and this for standard and drop D.
Right.
And then I'll also have a thin line as a backup in case. But
So I love the pragmatic approach of the drop pedal, so that way you don't have to travel with so many guitars.
And I mostly, unless we're, like when we were doing these shows with Clutch and these festivals, we don't get a very long set, so we're not even doing the drop
Right.
Cs. So I'll use it as an octave.
Okay.
It's like your dry signal plus an octave.
Octave, up or down.
And then and it can do a drop, a polyphonic drop, which is
And it's got a
nice.
momentary feature, right, where you can hold it in the
Yes,
middle.
yeah,
of
you can switch that and you can just kind of tap it or whatever. But yeah, it's cool. And I actually replaced this knob.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks
that's
modded,
That's
yeah.
like an MXR knob, and I put one of these Grolsch washers under there just so that I don't, because
Set it,
I'm a
forget
little
it,
sloppy.
yeah.
Like every once in a while I'll hit both of those by accident and cut myself out. But anyway, I kept moving it. So I
Yeah.
put that on there and a little washer under there so it can't, I mean, you can still turn it, but it's just
Not
a lot
easily,
tighter.
right, yeah.
Same thing on this guy. These two,
Yep.
because when I mash this, I'll end up going like,
course,
and
yeah.
I'll move them. And now you can still move them, but they're like just a little more, they're stickier.
They're not gonna.
Yeah, they're not.
They're
You're not
gonna
going to knock
spin
it
with
into
your
a different
foot, yeah,
spot.
cool.
So yeah.
Cool. I guess let's. Obviously, you got the little mini Polytune, which is handy.
Yeah, I used to use a Boss TU2 or TU3, but I like tiny. I like small.
Yeah, this is perfect.
Yeah. So I got the Polytune 2, then this Digitech drop. I was using a MXR Bass Octave Deluxe, but it's not polyphonic and it can't do the drop thing. So I was like, well, this can do the octave and it can do that. So I've kind of started using this guy.
Yeah.
And then the Phase 95, and usually it was just a normal Phase 90, but again, I'm trying to keep everything small. So when they came out with this, I was like, I gotta get one of those.
Have you ever A-B'd that between the 90?
Yeah, I can't tell a difference.
You can't? That's awesome.
I
Yeah.
can't tell a difference. And it can do a 45, and you can do the script style also. I basically run it like a 90.
Sure.
Non-script style. That's just kind of what I like. Then this is an Earthquaker Devices Dispatch Master, and again, kind of to save space, because this is reverb and delay in one pedal, which is rad.
So when you kick that on, is it giving you reverb and delay, or do you have it mixed?
I have I mean, not like a ton of reverb. And actually, really, like most of the stuff, it's off most of the time. There's none of these that are on all the time. It's just to kind of accent some parts. But well, just to accent some things. But yeah, so this is kind of for like a noisy thing. And really, before our last record, I only had a tuner and a phaser. Yeah. And then I was like, I should try and do some stuff that we did on the record live, so I added some stuff. And I've also been still playing with the order. Normally, well, before, we just did a tour in South America, and I didn't bring this guy. I have a Quilter Tone Block 200.
So just a power amp.
And it's great. It needs, for me, it needs a little extra gain, so I put this.
That's what the Thunderclaw's for, sure.
And I originally had this guy last, and I had this here. Or actually I had that first. Anyway, but I noticed that this thing doesn't do well if it's after distortion. So putting it before distortion, it's kind of like this is just pretend this is the preamp and then the amp. So
Gotcha. Are you using this now with the Sunn?
Yes.
Just when you want to really beef it up?
Yeah, it's for like solos, just to kind of make it pop out. I got the treble cranked on it, so it just cuts through a little bit more.
Because these are a little dark.
Yeah, a little bit. And I used to use a Small Sound, Big Sound Mini, which works really well, even though, a lot of times you hit an already really cranked amp with distortion, it just compresses. It doesn't really do much, but that Small Sound Mini really works well, and this Mr. Black Thunderclaw works really great. And this thing sounds great.
And those cats are out of Portland too, right?
Yeah,
that's cool.
A Portland dude too.
Rules.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I tell you what. Before I let you go, can I hear your amp?
Oh, sure.
Then let's go through these just to hear its basic tones.
So here's the basic sound. And then you want to do some octave stuff. I like that because it's polyphonic. So I mean, I sort of like when a normal octaver kind of freaks out, it can't tell what note. I like that too, but
when it's
I
like jumping between the
it kind of can't figure out which frequency to do the octave on. And then the phaser, of course. And that's probably my most used thing.
I was going to say, that sounds great with that amp.
Yeah, it works really good. And then the delay, I'll do some high up stuff.
Atmospheric kind of.
Yeah, that's the reverb plus the delay.
The decay on that is great.
Yeah,
it's got a really nice decay.
It can get really big. I have it about halfway up.
I bet that can get away from you.
Everything at noon, but yeah. And it's mostly for some sort of noisy parts. And then this Thunderclaw is, you almost can't even hear it.
Just puts a little hair on the top.
Beefs it up a little bit. And for like, just helps that
so
stuff
when you're
pop
ripping
out.
leads, I'm guessing you're cranking that on.
I'll step on that for
because it definitely
leads.
helps it cut.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I bought I got this little Pedal Train Nano. I bought the Nano Plus, which is only that much bigger, and I was like, it's too big. So I went back to this one.
Powering it all.
Oh yeah, I've got this is
look at you, and it fits right in there.
Yeah, it's a Seox
DC5, right?
DC5, and I really love that it's kind of all in one.
Dude,
and it can run 220, so I don't have to change this when I go to Europe.
Oh, killer!
Just plug in a different thing or use an adapter, and it works. Yeah. Yeah, I really like that this is kind of all, that's everything I need right there.
Such a good pragmatic approach to it, It's awesome.
It fits in a backpack and
Well, damn, dude, I'm stoked to see the show.
Awesome.
Again, love your videos. You guys,
Thank you.
So good, right on. Well, anyway, guys, this is Perry with Premier Guitar. Stay tuned for more rig rundowns, lessons, all that stuff. You name it. Talk to you soon.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching the latest rig rundown. Guess what? Every week we upload a brand new rig rundown to premierguitar.com a full week before it's available here on YouTube. So to get your gear fix as soon as humanly possible, go to premierguitar.com/rig rundown. And while you're there, be sure to sign up to get an email notification so you're the first to know as soon as each week's new rig rundown is available. Cheers, see you soon.